Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial on North Shore 1049. My name is Marc Freedman. I'm President and CEO of Freedman Financial, located in Peabody, Massachusetts, right across the street from the North Shore Mall and just above the soon-to-be opening Daniela's restaurant at 41 Cross Street. There's only two businesses at 41 Cross Street. Daniela's on the first floor, Freedman Financial on the second floor. And we've been providing financial planning and investment management advice to individuals and families all throughout the North Shore, the Merrimack Valley, and the southern New Hampshire area since 1968. My father started our firm all the way back then. I was 2 years old when he started it, and Dad retired in 2007. I joined the firm in 1991, took over ownership of the firm when Dad retired. A couple weeks ago, you heard Marion Gilman on the radio, and she has been my business partner for a good number, 10 years or so, but she's been with the firm for 20. You also heard Christian Karcher, who is our certified financial planning associate at the office, and Christian has done some great work. I continue to get so much great feedback about the work that Christian did on our radio show a couple weeks ago, and I'm hoping to have him back on here very shortly. I also told you last week when I was live in studio that I was going to have Daniela from Daniela's Restaurant on this show this week, but I lost track of my calendar. I was wrong. She's actually going to be on next week because Daniela's will be opening on the 9th of November. Hopefully I'll be one of the first people in there to get something to eat, and she's so excited to tell you what's going on at Daniela's, how you can visit the restaurant, the different types of foods that they'll have. It's going to be different from what Alto Forno was for sure. It even looks different inside the restaurant, and I think you'll be very excited to hear about that. Look, we're 2 days away from Election Day. Are you tired of all the ads? Yes, I am. Are you tired of all the banter back and forth through your social media feeds and the dialogue back and forth with your friends? I am. Do you think it's going to end on Wednesday? I don't. Sorry. I don't care who wins. That banter will not end. It's just going to continue to happen, and frankly, we may not have an answer on Tuesday, which is unfortunate, I think. I don't know how you feel about the mail-in voting, the mail-in program that they've done here in Massachusetts or around the country. I frankly wasn't a fan. I think we have a great absentee ballot system. I think we also have a way to get to the polls. But like other states and other areas, have you ever stood in line, like a long line, 2 hours, 3 hours, in line to vote? I never, ever had that experience. I'm 54 years old, never had that experience. I walk into the polling booths, and I vote. No problem at all. I actually did vote early this week. I voted on Tuesday. I went to the Senior Center in North Andover, on Monday I went to the Senior Center in North Andover, Massachusetts. Walked in there. Voting was very efficient. No problem at all. So I don't mind this early voting thing. I do have a bit of a problem that we can vote almost a month and a half before Election Day. That seems a little extreme to me. I think if there's going to be debates, if there's going to be banter and understanding of the candidates and all of that, I think all of that needs to be taken care of. They make their statement, they make their closing arguments, and then we have, let's say, 2 weeks to decide. You get out, you can go ahead, let them go out and hold their rallies and hold all of their gatherings and stuff afterwards. But for the two people to go head to head, to talk it all out, that needs to finish, as far as I'm concerned, before your decision is made. So one of the things that's really interesting, and I don't know if you've read this at all, is that there has been some discussion about what if I mailed in my ballot and what if I sent in an absentee ballot and now I've changed my mind. Really? Well, believe it or not, there are almost 6 states that allow for you. In fact, I have it here. I have, it's somewhere in one of my reports that I have. I thought I had the actual page here. There are 6 states where you can actually do that. And Connecticut, a close state to us, is one of them. But that's all based on county. You can still do it in Wisconsin. You can still do it in a few other states. You could have done it in Minnesota, but they closed that opportunity last week. Now that's adding even more confusion to this whole thing. Basically, if you voted for one candidate and you say, I want to change my mind, and you can go back in and vote for the other candidate, have you invalidated your voting? Have you just kind of made it a zero? I'm not quite sure how they manage that, but it is actually allowed in certain states. I think it's kind of interesting that we have 65 million people who have already voted in this election. Well, this was as of Thursday. That's where I'm getting my number from. 65 million people who have already voted in this election. We are expecting, typically we would have 139 million people vote. That's what we've had historically, past year or two. So more than 50%, almost 50% of the people who expected to vote on Thursday have already voted. But what's interesting to me is, do you know how many Americans are eligible to vote? There are 240 million Americans who are eligible to vote. Now, there are 257 million people who are over the age of 18, and 240 million of them are eligible to vote. Yet last year, or the last election, 139 million people came out to vote. Now, that's a big number. I mean, that's 139 million people, but there's still almost 40% of the population that's eligible to vote that doesn't. Did you know that in Australia, that in Brazil, it's a requirement to vote? In Australia, if you don't vote, it's a $20 fine. You can find that. In Brazil, if you don't vote, they will pull your passport so you can't travel. Do we need to do that in America? Should we mandate people to vote? I mean, I think we've learned from this COVID-19 that trying to make people do anything is not something that's easy to do. But I still find it fascinating with the amount of money that has been spent this year on getting out to vote, getting people to really go out and make their statement, do their civic duty. How many more people do they anticipate will vote this time rather than last time? Last time it was 139 million people. Well, the estimates, they're expecting 150 million people to vote. Now, would that be the largest number of people that ever voted? Yes. But it's a 7% increase. A 7% increase with all of this effort that we have done to get people to get out there and vote? And who will be that 7%? I think those statistics will be interesting. Was it the younger population? Was it an older population? Was it the Hispanic community? Was it the Afro-American community? Was it single white mothers who live in suburbia? What will the numbers be, and where will the regions post that certain more people came out to vote? I think those will be fascinating statistics. So what's interesting is in 2016, when Donald Trump battled against Hillary Clinton for the White House, there was a 60% eligible voter turnout. 60%. But the most we've ever seen as a voter turnout in the modern age happened in 2008, which was Barack Obama versus John McCain. 61.65% of the population came out to vote. What's the lowest in modern age? In 1996, Bill Clinton battled against Bob Dole, and 51.7% of people came out to vote. We're expecting a voter turnout somewhere around 63%. It still doesn't seem like an exciting number to me. I was hoping we're going to have an 80% voter turnout, 85%. Has that ever happened before? Yeah, believe it or not, it has. The highest number happened in 1876, when Rutherford Hayes defeated Sam Tilden for the White House. 82.6% of eligible voters voted. Now, granted, back then, women couldn't vote. It was just men voting. When Abraham Lincoln defeated Stephen Douglas and John Bell and John Breckinridge, 81.8% of eligible voters turned out to vote. It's the 1800s where those numbers really, really spiked up. So think about this. So it was 81% then, but now we've had the opportunity, women vote. This is after slavery. So people that had been, certainly the more people in our community could vote. So why aren't we? Why aren't we getting out there with the vote despite the millions and millions and millions of dollars that are being asked for people to do it? I'm hoping, I want to be surprised on Election Day. I want to find out on Wednesday morning that we blew the numbers away. It wasn't 150 million people that showed up, but maybe 200 million of the 240 million eligible voters. That'll be exciting to me. It's not about the outcome of who won. It's about the fact that we put our voice out there and we spoke as a country about where we collectively are using our democratic voice to make some statements. In the first segment, I talked to you about the fact that there are 3 triggers right now that will help guide what the future of economics will be, at least in the near future, in the next year or 2. Those 3 things are the election, a treatment or vaccine for COVID-19, and thirdly, the stimulus. And I told you in the first segment that I think the least important of the 3 right now is the outcome of the election. I think the most important thing right now is a vaccine or a working therapeutic or treatment. Look, if we can get that, if we can have some confidence that things aren't going to get worse, that even if people do test positive, we have a treatment or a vaccine to cure that, my goodness, we can go back to life again. We can go back to baseball games. We can go back to the theater. We can go back to work. We can go to a movie theater. We can eat out, and we can have weddings and celebrations and conferences. We can go on cruise ships. We can gather in large places. That, my friends, is where we have to go first. When that happens, and when people are spending money, and businesses are coming back, and hotels are filling up, and conferences are happening, and business travel is occurring, and we're going on vacations with families, people spend money. And when we spend money, what does that do? That stimulates the economy. And when the economy is stimulated, it means we're buying products manufactured by American and international companies. And when we're buying things, that makes them more profitable. And the stock market goes up. Your 401k grows. Your 403b grows. And what else you get? The stability of your pension. Many people will talk about the fact that, man, Mark, well, I'm not worried about the stock market. You know, they talk about, all Donald Trump wants to talk about is the stock market. Well, the stock market is important to all of us in a lot of different ways. Even people who are teachers, people who are working with companies that provided them a pension. If you're getting a pension, where do you think the company that is funding your pension is putting the big amount of money? What do you think? They're just putting it in the bank and they're just paying it out to you? They're just taking somebody's money and giving it to you? No, they're investing that money. And where are they investing it? In the stock market. Now, they're investing it in the bond market too, and perhaps in alternative investments and all sorts of strategies. But they're investing it because they believe that they can make money with what they place in so that they can continue to pay you your ongoing pension. It's the same thing that happens whether you're putting $10 into your 401k or $20,000 a year in your 401k. Those monies are feeding into the stock market, and millions of us are doing it. And I think it's important. We need to continue to support the stock market. We need to stay invested. We need to do this. It's, you know, it is where, look, leaving your money in the bank, and we've gotten plenty of calls from folks that have said, Mark, you know, geez, days before the election, should I just pull out? Well, I will tell you, in my 29 years of doing this business, I've lived through 9/11, I've lived through the financial crisis, and I've lived through plenty of other fluctuations in the market. Never once in 29 years, and frankly, never once in our firm's 52-year history have we ever suggested that our clients cash out. Because every single time the market hits a dip, it goes on to hit newer highs. And I don't care how old you are, as long as your strategy aligns with your financial plan, and you need that financial plan to help you along with that investment strategy, you are going to be good to go. You want to be rational in emotional times. You don't want to be speculative. All right, so I've talked about the election, the impact of the election. I've talked about the importance of us finding a vaccine to help stimulate this economy. But let's talk about the stimulus. Let's talk about the stimulus. Why isn't it happening right now? And when will we actually get a stimulus? Or will we? We'll be right back. You're listening to Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial on North Shore 1049.
I need $1.